Well, good evening, hello, and welcome to one of our regular chats with a former Sydney FC player from our past. Tonight, we're being joined by another overseas star who became a firm fans' favourite in Sky Blue. Joining us from China initially on a short-term deal before extending for a full year once that was complete, this Frenchman helped Sydney FC to the 2015 Grand Final. He also played numerous times for Marseille and in the French League One, and represented Senegal 12 times. It is, of course, Mr. Jacques Faty. How are you, Jacques?
I'm very good.
Good to see you, man. Are you? What are you doing? What are you doing now? Are you in France still, or where are you?
So now I'm in Turkey, in Istanbul. And I opened my football academy here between Istanbul, Antalya, and Ankara. So my franchise is Paris Saint-Germain Academy, and I'm the coach, and I try to raise the kids, and why not to become one day professional.
And you, I can see from your badge there that the academy is branded by a very famous club as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Paris Saint-Germain. This is a good contact you have with the club?
Actually, I have a lot of contact in France because I used to play there for years. And Paris Saint-Germain, I still have a good friend over there. So when I came to them and asked them to represent them in Turkey, so of course they accept to give us the franchise and to have the exclusivity in this country, in Turkey. Yeah.
So essentially, the young kids that you bring through could be another Kylian Mbappe or something like this. You send off to Paris for extra training.
Yeah, this is the objective. You know, the chance in Turkey is like I coach. Okay, the majority are Turkish, but there is a lot of players from Iran, from Africa, so we are all mixed here. And of course, if I can bring one day the future Kylian Mbappe, of course, because my passion is to now to raise kids and to give them what I received. You know, this is my a duty for me to give back what I received.
And have you got many good kids coming through at the moment? I know you're not quite playing yet because of the virus. You're still due to come back.
Yes, unfortunately, because of this virus, now it's like we closed the academy like 3 months ago, and I think we will open it after a few weeks now. So of course, I miss all my kids, and they miss me a lot. But that's fair to not train because this virus is very dangerous. So of course we have to stay home and to be careful. Yeah.
And you have any good young players in your academy who might one day become world stars?
You know, it's very hard to say if a young, very good player will become one day professional. There is a lot of things you have to learn first. The technique, the mental, the head is very important if you want to become professional. It's not only about talent. Of course, I have a lot of many talents in my academies, but that means nothing if they stop to growing, if they stop to work. Of course, they will not become professional. But that's why I have to follow them. I have to talk to them, and I hope one day we will see.
Well, you did it yourself coming through. You obviously had a little bit of your career in Turkey, but before that, obviously, you grew up in Paris and played football in the streets of Paris and eventually progressed into an academy yourself. Tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up back in France in those days.
You know, in France, in Paris, you don't have a lot of choices, to go to school, learn school, and try to become, try to find a good job, or play football and give your maximum, or to stay in the street and we don't know what will happen to you. Sometimes a lot of my friends, unfortunately, they didn't go well and they went to prison, or maybe they die on the street, or they do some illegal stuff. So I had the choice. So I choose the football stuff, and that's why with my little brother, he's still playing now in Turkey, and my cousin Mikel Tavares, our objective was really to invest our time in football, to play, and to reach one day to become professional. So yeah, we grew up in Paris, and after I had the chance to go to one football team and the academy like Clairefontaine.
Yes, you mentioned there before Ricardo, your brother, Ricardo Faty, and Mikel Tavares, who also came and played for Sydney FC. You see, definitely your cousin, because somebody told me, I won't mention any names, but he said that you just joked when you came over here that you were cousins and everyone believed you. He's definitely your cousin?
100%. Mikey, of course, first we grew up together, but second, my mother and her mother and his mother, sorry, they are sisters. So I think that make
cousin. Correct. So I was just checking on that. Yeah, but you went to the Clairefontaine Academy, very celebrated academy in France, and where the men's national teams are all based. What was it like playing there? Were there any big stars who you came through with who were later to go on to play for France?
Yeah, first of all, you have to know that Clairefontaine, it was, now it's a little bit less, but before it was the main football academy. You know, Thierry Henry come from them, William Gallas, who play in Perth, I think.
Yeah, yep.
From Clairefontaine, Nicolas Anelka, Kylian Mbappé. So all of these famous players come from Clairefontaine. And in the same time, the French national team, the big national team of France, before they play big games, they come in Clairefontaine and they train there. So for me, it was like big things, you know, to be in contact with big players like Zidane, like Thuram, Desailly, or Trezeguet, Henry. You know, it was something big, and this gave me like more dreams, you know, and this pushed me to go to my dream. Understand? Yeah, a lot.
Yes, you ended up playing well over 200 games in the French league, and particularly for Rennes, and also for Marseille in the Champions League, which and UEFA Cup, which must have been some fantastic experiences playing in the top division against some top players.
But it's like dreams coming true. Understand? I never expected when I was young one day I will wear the shirt of Marseille or I will play the Champions League, you know. So it was like a big moment for me and accomplishment. I don't know if I can say this like this. So yes, of course, I was so happy and emotional in the same time to play this type of competition and to play against such big players like Liverpool or other teams.
Did you ever come across Milos Ninkovic? Because he had a season in France, I think, around about the same sort of time. Maybe it was a little bit later.
Yeah. So no, I know that Ninkovic used to play in Evian, I think, in France.
Yes.
But I never met him. The first time I saw him, it was in Sydney.
Yeah.
Actually, it was good to be with him because Ninkovic it was one of the best players I played in Australia. You know, Ninko and he is still a big player in Australia.
Yeah. Well, we'll come to your time in Australia shortly, but after the spell with Marseille and in France, you moved to Turkey, where you are now. Is that how you managed to pick up your contacts over there in Turkey?
Yeah, because you know, when I used to play in Sivasspor, and I met a lot of people here, and the thing is, I saw that the education of the kids of the academy or the way how the kid was raised before in Turkey was not so good, and France, you know, they are very good actually. So I really wanted to give my help to young young kids in Turkey, because here in this country there is a lot of things to do, and kids are very passionate. They love football here, and they train very hard. So me now is my responsibility to guide them, to show them like what I learned in France, and to try to make their dream coming through.
Well, hopefully there's a few on the way. But so you had 2 years in Turkey, making up these contacts and observing the rituals of academies, that sort of thing, and then you moved to China after that, to Wuhan Zal, and of course we've all heard of Wuhan now, but at the time I hadn't heard of it. The first I've heard of it was when we signed Jacques Faty from Wuhan Zal, but now it's a worldwide renowned place for all the wrong reasons. But what was it like for you living there back in those years, I think 2013, 14, 15?
Yeah, honestly, obviously I didn't know that Wuhan will make now it will become famous because of this virus. I didn't know before, but Wuhan is a big city, not the biggest city in China, but we know Chinese are 1 billion, so there are a lot of people. But Wuhan is a big city, developing at this time. They was doing well. In Wuhan there is 2 sides, like the rich side and the poor side, and the poor side are very poor, and that's why, and it's hard to say, because I didn't go outside too much when I was in China. I stay in my hotel, I stay in my room or in my apartment. I go to training. After training, go home. I didn't speak Chinese at all. I wanted to learn, but it was very hard. But for the 2 years I spent in China, I was very interested because I traveled a lot. I went to Beijing, I went to Shanghai to visit, and it was a very nice experience.
Yeah, and the people there and the football, was it particularly good at that stage in China? Did you find?
Unfortunately, no. There is a lot of things to do in China. The football is not so good, you understand? But because they have money, they can bring players from outside in the country, and that's how they can promote the league. But I think now the mentality, I think the politic in soccer changed in China. They don't spend anymore this million and million to bring players. I think they want to. I think now they want to promote like the academy stuff, and they want to build like a young player. I think that's the best idea they can do, because money is good, but money is not everything,
Yeah, of course, of course. And then you made the move down under after your spell in China at the same time as Mikhail as well. How did it all come about? I think it was January transfer window 2015 when we needed a little bit of help to keep our season on track for that grand final. What happened? How did you find out of Sydney's interest?
It was very funny because I didn't know anything about Australia. I was in China, and the season start maybe 2 months later. It was in January exactly, and Romeo Castellan, who was playing in Australia just before Mikey and I, he called Mikey first. Mikey used to play in the Czech Republic, and he asked him if he wanted to come and play for one team in Australia. And we didn't know it was Sydney FC. So Mikey was exciting, new challenge, why not? And then he called me. I was in China. He called me and he asked me, this can be a nice project, him and me, to come in Australia. I didn't know, because I was in China, but I was like a little bit bored, because China is good for money, to be honest. It's very good for money, but the lifestyle, I'm sorry, but not too nice, not so good. So I wanted to change something to like a new project. And then one call came, and Mikey asked me if I was interested to come in Australia and play for one of the biggest and the best city in Australia, so Sydney. I said, so why not? And at this time, Graham Arnold, he called me. He asked me if I was interested for this project. And at this time, Sydney FC was not good in the rankings. There was maybe 5 or 6 in the rank, you know. So I said, so why not? Why not to try? Okay, of course, the money is not the same, but the lifestyle is much better. So I said, why not? I want to try. And honestly, I don't regret, because Sydney, I spent years here in Sydney, Australia, and I love this country. I love the people over there. And when we came with my kid, we did well.
Yeah, you played. Do you remember your first game? The result in your first game up in Central Coast?
It was in Mariners 4-4.
5-1, I think, was the. So it was a really big impact that you made, and the rest of that season there was a lot of goals we scored and a lot of very exciting games. I don't think that you lost a single game, maybe one game in the second half of the season, because we were on such a good roll. And you even scored a goal. Do you remember scoring in Wellington?
Yeah. It's my first goal, so I will never forget it. Wellington, and I kiss my shirt, you know. I kiss my shirt because it was a very, very, very nice moment. It's my first goal. Yeah, exactly.
Took it on your knee, volley, and then knocked to the cameras. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's very funny because I didn't want to go for this corner kick. I didn't want to go, and it's the coach. The coach told me, "Hey, Faty, what are you doing? Go try to score a goal," you know. And I didn't want. I said, you know. And so I went there, and I think it's said Ryan. He gave me this pass with his head, and I scored my first goal. I was so happy, and the coach looked at me after that. I said, you know, you have to listen to me. You have to listen. When you listen to me, you score a goal. So yeah, it was very funny, and a big moment. I will not forget it.
Right in front of the camera as well. Yeah, fantastic celebration, and that was a 3-0 win. I seem to remember towards the end of that season, and it was a season in which we eventually got to the grand final. Some fantastic performances, as I said, against Adelaide in the semi-final was great, but then the final was a little bit disappointing after all of that, particularly for yourself as well. It could have been a lot different, perhaps, had you not been injured in the first, I think, 15 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why. It was very strange. I was very exciting to play this final. I was very a big motivation, and I had this feeling like tonight we will win this game. Tonight we will win this game. And unfortunately, I don't know, after 15 minutes, I get this injury. I was so sad and so mad. Yeah, I will never forget this image.
Yeah. Come off, and after that, yeah, it was a disappointing night, but we eventually got over it and came back to Sydney, and we actually played a couple of games you might remember against Tottenham and Chelsea as well at the end of that season, of which you were involved in the promotion of that. They were fantastic nights as well, in front of some big crowds, 80,000 people at ANZ Stadium. What do you remember?
Yeah. We played 2 games, Tottenham and Chelsea. And of course, it's good, you know, to promote the football, the soccer in Australia. So they came. Of course, I have a lot of friends, for example, Chelsea, like Eden, Loic or Peter Cech. That's player I played against. Or Peter Cech, I played with him in Rennes, so it was my friend.
Yeah.
So it was a very big pleasure to see them in Australia. So they came, and you know, it's something amazing, you know, when you see again your old teammates. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Was Demba there at Chelsea at the time? Because you're very good friends with him as well.
Yeah, he was not. No, he was not there. Demba, he was in China, I think. In China or in Turkey, but he was not in Chelsea. No.
Yeah.
The coach of Demba was Mourinho, yes,
Yes.
But after he left to Turkey. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the second season, we didn't quite achieve the same sort of heights, but I remember you did score one fantastic goal, a very important goal in the derby against Western Sydney Wanderers, and in front of some big and passionate fans. Do you remember getting this goal, and how excited did you feel about being able to put one in the back of the net in such a huge game for the club?
Yeah, of course. When you played against Wanderers, you only want to win this game, and of course I will never forget this goal too, because I scored, and it was against Castellan too, because Romeo, was my friend and the friend of Mikey. So we make a bet, a bet like the guys who win, the guy who lost will pay the restaurant. So of course I was very motivated, and it was a very hard season for us. You understand? Remember, this season was hard for me, for Smelly, for Mikey, because sometimes, season is like this. Sometimes you do well, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. So I went to hard time, and this goal gave me more confidence. More confidence, and we won this game. So of course it was a big pleasure to celebrate this with in Wanderers, but with our fans, So it was good.
Yeah, Smelty scored this goal in the second half, in the last minute, I think, 90th, 91st minute, something like that. You can see the Sydney FC fans in that far corner. And this actually, I think, put us in second place at the time on the ladder, and things were going well. But look at the celebrations there, fantastic stuff. And yeah, you mentioned Romeo Castellan there. Something that cropped up or came across my mind before was when you were talking about coming to Sydney FC, that a player from another club recruited you essentially for their biggest rivals, and then you go and score against them. Does that happen a lot in football?
No, I'm very sorry about that. I just want to make my job. My job is to make a good defense and to score goals. And yeah, I know he was mad, but Romeo, he called me to come and play. I said, okay, I come, and and it's good because we came to bring more experience, more motivation, and honestly, Australia was a fantastic experience, and that's why I said I will come back to Australia and try maybe to make one academy or two academies over there for the moment. But unfortunately, because of this virus, I waste a lot of times and money. But I think in the future, I will come back to Australia to try to do something with the kids, because there is a lot of kids, and I think they love more and more football, soccer. So why not? Why not to come and create one PSG academy over there too, and take care of them?
Yeah, you were definitely a huge fan's favourite here in Sydney. What was it about not just the club and the supporters, but the city itself that you enjoyed while you were here?
Very much. The atmosphere, of course, the weather, or the mentality of people. I had friends to all around the world, so to see different type of people: Chinese, Turkish, French, European, and Australia. Okay, Australia is very far from everything. It's very, very far. But when you arrive there, you think like Australia is the best country in the world. Understand? And Sydney is the best city in the world. Of course, that's why now I think very soon I will try to come back and to do something over there.
Yeah, I think we all agree with your sentiments in that. What were the derbies for you like to play in? Obviously, you played in some fiery atmospheres in Turkey and France, but the derbies at that stage were particularly fierce in their rivalry and packed out crowds at Allianz Stadium and in Parramatta as well.
Yeah, I didn't know like one derby like in Australia can bring like many people like this. So I didn't know, so I was a bit surprised. And players, they told me before when I came, they told me like, yeah, Australia, there is one derby, is to Sydney, Wanderers Sydney FC. I think it's one of the best derby in the country. And you will see the crowd, it will be like Europe. And yeah, it was right. It was even a little bit more than I saw when I saw in Europe. So it was amazing atmosphere, and you know that this remind me when I used to play in France or when I used to play Champions League. The atmosphere was like this. So it's nice for the country. That must stay. You know, people they have to come and to support their
Yeah, you definitely had some good derbies back in that period of time for Sydney FC, and then obviously you left Sydney at the end of that season. You spent another year at the Central Coast Mariners. I remember seeing you come back and play against us. But we remember that. But what was your sort of final memory of being in Australia, and just tell us a little bit about what happened to you after you left Australia? Where did you head off?
But yes, after that I went to Mariners. It was but I came to try to stabilize the team. It was very hard, and we changed the coach after a few months. And the coach, he wanted me to this team. So the second coach who came, it was like a bit reticent, like he doesn't know. So it was hard, but it was like again with Mikey a good experience. But at the same time, you know, I had opportunities to buy one football team in USA in San Diego with Demba and Eden Hazard. So I was projecting myself for this project, you know. So in the same time, I was organized myself to leave Australia and to have a new experience in San Diego, in US, and yeah.
I didn't know that. What was the name of the team that you bought? Was it MLS team?
No, it was not MLS team. You know, we wanted to start like in NASL, you know, like a normal team for the moment, and after try to grow up and to find the investor to become one day why not MLS team. So the team is like a 1904 San Diego FC. So, well, for the moment, we are open, and they still make some games, but not officially. Still, we are looking for some investment. So it's going very slow, but I hope one day this team will become a big team.
San Diego, the Anchorman series films were filmed there, so we all remember those, yeah. But for you now, it's just all concentrating on the academy in Turkey.
Yeah. So after San Diego, I just came back to UAE few months to have a holiday, you know, to make my mind like free, because you know. Well, I know that football, I will not play that anymore. I just wanted to organize my stuff and to really know what I want to become after football. So I took few months in Dubai to think with my family, and then to make a choice what I want to do, what I want to open. I want to become maybe consultant on TV. So this is what I did after. I was on TV, in French TV, to comment games. And after that, I made the choice to open academies and to raise kids. Now it was about where I will open this academy. So I think about Turkey. It was the best opportunities for me, the best choice. So yeah, now I'm here since 1 year and a half. 1 year and a half I'm in Turkey, and I was doing very, very well before this virus. But now I just have to be patient.
And do you still keep in touch with any of the former Sydney players at all?
Of course. Well, Mikey, of course. Milos Dimitrievich, definitely. Almost every time we talk on the phone, and Milos, he has his new healthy machine, rehab machine, and he's doing well. I love to see like former players doing something very interesting, try to develop sports. So this is what he's doing, Milos, and he's doing very well. I saw him in Turkey. I met him in Istanbul and he came. And of course, Petkovic the same time too. Ali Abbas, we talk sometimes. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. We got one question just from one of our fans on Facebook asking, what area do you think young players should focus on if they want to progress through the academy systems? Which area do you think they should focus on the most?
The kids, like in Australia or here in general?
Just, I think, in general.
Kids, they must, like, first of all, you have to have the passion of football. Passion, like you have to think football, you have to eat football, you have to see football, you have to read football, you have to read some biography about soccer player. This is very important. This is the first thing. Passion about football. After, you have to work technically. With the technique, the passing stuff, control the ball. Technique is very important for the kids. And few years later, after 15, 16 years old, you have to work mentally. Because football is all about mental. 50% is about mental. Because you will have some ends, you will fall down, you will not have success now, you have to work very hard, and you have to be strong mentally. So when you're strong, then you have the chance one day to sign your first contract, because everybody wants to become a football player. We all want to become a football player, and not everybody can do it. The strongest in his mind will do it. Only.
Great advice, Jack. Thank you for that. It's certainly something that we can pass on to our Sydney FC Academy juniors who are just starting to take to the pitch again after the virus is now settled in this country. And thank you very much for joining us tonight and giving us your great insights into your time here, and also you're letting us know what you're up to now in Turkey, which is fantastic to see. And obviously, always welcome back here at Sydney FC whenever you want to come down under.
Of course, thank you very much. Of course, if I can come back to Sydney FC to see the kids too, and maybe wanted to organize some games one day. Maybe I can invite you to Antalya to come and see the weather here in Turkey, or maybe my team can come in Australia to play against your team. So it will be like maybe good to be in touch. Yeah. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
No problem. Let's keep in touch and let's try and make it happen. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you. Take care.